Hello again, I am time-traveling Blunty here from the future. We're about to rewind time in a second. We're going to talk about this case right here, which NZXT sent in. They're launching on Australian shelves today. I think they've been out for a week or two elsewhere, but this is the new H510i mini ITX case. And NZXT came to me a couple of months ago and said, hey, we're launching some new cases. We want to send you one. We want to send you the big one, the 7. I went, no, I don't want the big one. I want to do a build in your new ITX case. Because here's the thing, I just leant forward and pressed the power button and turned the machine off right there, so all the lights went out. That was what I was gonna say. Is here's the thing, I like ITX builds because they're nice and tidy and small, and I particularly like the idea of this case and doing a build in this case, because what I wanted to do is take advantage of what this as an ITX case does that almost no other ITX case does, and that is, as you can see here hopefully, go a bit aggressive on the cooling. This will support a 240 rad right there. You can even do back and front fans if you want push-pull. You just have to do, there's barely enough room for it. You have to be mindful of the graphics card and everything, but yeah, let's rewind time and talk about the case and the things I like about it, then we'll do the build and I'll talk about how the build situation went.
I've done a few builds in this family of NZXT cases now, and every time I've been impressed with how easy it is compared to some other cases I've used, and in large part it's all down to thoughtful design decisions, most of that around cable management and space utilization. And however you come down on the aesthetics of NZXT's styling, that thoughtfulness in design and ease of use is on full display here in the H210i. Now, for the build. For the CPU, I asked, and Intel delivered, thank you very much Intel, the Intel i9-9900K. Easily my favourite Team Blue CPU they've ever made. The balance of power, both in single core performance and its hyperthreading for a combo of 8-core 16-thread goodness and able to turbo up to 5 GHz, make it a sweet beast for both gaming and chewing on things like content production, as I demonstrated very delightfully and very effectively about half a year ago in another vid when they first launched these beasties. But mainly, I chose it for this build because the 9900K is also a CPU hungry and eager for overclocking goodness, and the idea behind this build was to take full advantage of its uniqueness in the ITX case arena. That is, being able to support a big, proper, full-fat water cooling system. For the motherboard, obviously I needed something I could rely upon for both easy and reliable overclocking, so I asked my man at Asus what's what, and the ROG Strix Z390i gaming arrived at my door, and oh, impressed. Sharing much with the Asus ROG Strix X470F I recently did a sponsored video about, it has everything I need. It supports crazy fast memory, 4500 plus megahertz by the way, 2 M.2 drive slots with plenty of heatsinks and spreaders to make sure the extra toastage from an overclock can be kept under control easily, plenty of USB I/O, and of course the usuals like Wi-Fi and such. But mostly it's about my recent experiences with the Asus ROG Strix boards and how easy it is to overclock and overclock reliably with these things. It's just so straightforward, it's unbelievable. For the GPU, I had 3 needs. The first was to balance size and cooling. I wanted it small enough to leave room for the water cooling for the CPU. I wanted to know the cooling would still be efficient and quiet, so the single fan mini ITX style GPUs were out. And lastly, I was targeting 1440p 60 FPS gaming experiences, so back to the ever-trusty Gigabyte I Strode, sent them an email, they got me the hookup on an RTX 2060. The Supers not being available at the time I made the request, and it made me slightly salty when they announced the Supers, and I went, it could have gone slightly better. But still, the RTX 2060 and the 2060 Super do sit side by side on the shelves, unlike the other RTX family members who got Super upgrade versions, so this still keeps it a current build. And quite frankly and honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest with myself, the Gigabyte RTX 2060 WindForce is a very solid choice for my target performances, as you may have seen demonstrated in my videos recently comparing it to the AMD 5700. 1440p 60 FPS, it's delightful for her. For storage, seeing as this case can handle a full-size hard drive, unlike many other mini ITX cases, I went for the jet black monster that is the WD Black 6TB performance hard drive, which will serve mainly as a media drive and for lots and lots of crispy high bitrate video game recordings. For the system drive, and for game installs, the very fast, black, searingly quick monster from WD, specifically the WD Black SN750 in a 2TB capacity. These things are just delightful, and thank you again to WD for that. And keep an eye out later this week for a WD sponsored video starring these two families of drives, because I have one of each to give away. For memory, I was just using some HyperX stuff I had lying around from an older build, and for power, I picked up a Silverstone SX650G at 650 watts with 80 plus gold efficiency. It should easily handle what I need from it here, including the overclock of course. and it's modular, which is always helpful in keeping cable clutter down, especially in smaller cases. That said, there is plenty of room to stash a whole bunch of power cables underneath in the little hidden away PSU cubbyhole in these cases, one of the many reasons I like this family of cases. But finally, for cooling, I went with a soft line water cooling kit, partly because there's actually room for a full fat cooling solution inside this case. You don't need to restrict yourself to just one of those simple little all-in-ones, which is of course one of these cases' main selling points compared to most other ITX cases as far as I'm concerned, but also for something new personally. All of the water cooling I've done over the last half decade or so has been either full-on custom hardline tubing or easy-peasy all-in-ones. So I figured it was time to play with some soft tubing and see how well these kits go. So I bought an EK Slim 240 kit. It comes with everything you need, with the exception of some distilled water, but it does have a bottle of additive to help keep the water clean and pure. But I wanted to go with a purple and white theme. Kind of a test run of the colour scheme I've started to plan for the looming upgrade and rebuild of my main desktop PC. So I got a bottle of premixed EK Cryofuel in Indigo Violet. And the results? Well, you tell me. What do you reckon? I will disclose to you at this point that somehow during the build I managed, and I really don't know how I did this, but I managed to gouge a big scar in the paint job on the top of the case. Seriously, I have no idea how I did this. Just F's in chat. Pay your respects. Made me quite sad when I spotted this when I started filming the B-roll. I have no idea how I did it. But aside from that clumsiness, the rest of the build went quite smoothly.
So there you go. As far as the build process actually went, I really like working with these NZXT cases. The cable management is basically the be-all and end-all. The way the panels come off and the way they've given you plenty of places to tie down and route around and poke through and all that kind of stuff, it just makes doing a nice, clean, good-looking build super easy. And the crispness and sort of overall simplicity and cleanliness. Cleanliness? Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. The simple elegance is the word I'm looking for. The simple elegance of their design language for this series of cases I really respond to quite strongly. As with any ITX build, because of the nature of the cramped space, there's a little bit of fiddliness in getting some of the cables connected to the motherboard and things like that. That goes without saying with an ITX build, really, it does. In this case, again, because I was dealing with sort of water cooling stuff, a little bit crowded again, but still very easy. Plenty of room around the back to thread things where they needed to be, and plenty of access in front here and hiding the PSU, things like that. I'm pretty happy with how this build came out. Not entirely happy because my first time doing soft tubing in forevers. I could have done a better job at that, I think. And I think when I go to do a big version of this build, basically, I'm going to stick with the white and purple color scheme because I've been digging on that recently, but I'm going to go hardline tubing. I might try a brighter purple as well. This electric purple is not quite as electric as I was hoping it. What did they call it? Sorry, indigo violet. I think they had another one called electric purple. But yeah, this isn't quite as bright as I was hoping for. That'd be the only thing I changed. The case itself, lovely to build in. One of the best ITX building experiences I've had. So, at the end of the day, do I like the H210i? The answer is yes, I do. It's nice to have an option for an ITX machine that also has the ability to go sort of pretty aggressive on the water cooling. I prefer when I do my ITX builds to be as small as possible because I figure that's the point of the ITX machines, but if you're looking for something that's not going to take up a lot of desk space, and you don't need to, more than one PCI Express slot, so you just got your graphics cards, you're not like me, you need to run capture cards and stuff like that. Nice, tidy, very slick looking option. But they also sent me their new flagship product, which is right here. This, I should have planned this better, I need way more desk space for it. This is the H510 Elite. Now, while the 210 is a mild to moderate upgrade from the version that came before it, they've done a little bit more work on this one, and I will come around to doing a build in this case proper at some point, but I'm waiting at the moment. I'm waiting for because my current main rig is a Threadripper. So I'm waiting for the 3rd gen Threadrippers to come out and see if it's worth waiting for that or going for the 3rd gen Ryzens or see what Intel does next. But yeah, closer to the end of the year, I'm going to do my main build in this, I think, because it looks, well, in the press shots, it looks fantastic. And you know, I enjoyed the build in that. Lots of cable management as we're talking about, stuff like that. So I thought we might as well just do a quick unboxing because I don't want to have this thing just sitting here for God knows how long. So, yep. Whoa. Am I gonna, here's the tension in the video, am I gonna do a Linus Sebastian and drop this thing because I'm an incompetent idiot with a voice that's impossible to listen to for long periods of time? I'm only kidding. I subscribe to Linus Tech Tips. But his voice though, right? Not nearly as nice as mine, right? Alright, so save the tedious stuff of taking off the styrofoam and things like that, the exciting part. Let's take a look at this case proper. So as you can see, similar styling again with the sort of bar across the bottom, the glass panel, which I love the way NZXT have started doing their glass panels. Just the one screw pop off. There's no little thumb screws on the front. There's not 4 of them. It's just one screw. Everything's sort of friction and tongue and groove kind of stuff. Just pops on and off so very nice, and I appreciate that. It leaves you with a very, very clean looking window. And that, of course, you may have noticed there, but frosted window as well. While the window that came with this one is perfectly clear, that one's got the smoked effect. Now, smoked, not frosted, I suppose would be the word for it. But yeah, lots and lots of space in here. Standard stuff you see on the NZXT cases, including the little bar here, which helps you hide your cables coming in and out. Built-in LED lighting up top, same extension system for the lighting, so you can add in your own lighting loop to the main lighting loop and control it all from one piece of software. Around the back panel, exactly the same as we're looking at with the 210. 2 screws, slides right out. Screws are retained, so you're never ever going to lose them. Hands up in the comment section if you've ever lost one of those thumb screws. Very, very lightweight actually. I was expecting a bit more heft from it. Most of the heft is actually in the glass. But again, same cable routing, 2 bays there for drives. You've got space down the bottom here for drives as well. 3.5mm slot there. Lots of breathing space down the side channel here for your intake fans, which means, of course, the cases which do have the clean front panel that's either glass or steel, like in the case of that one. It's got the vents down the side, just the same. So you get good airflow. The other things I like about these NZXT cases in this series is they all hide the PSU. I like a case that hides the PSU because there are no attractive power supply units out. Well, Thermaltake does the one with the ring light in it, which is reasonably good looking. But the rest of them kind of ugly, and they've got tons and tons of cables coming out. So being able to hide that in the chamber underneath. The other thing hiding it in the chamber underneath means separate airflow system for your power supply. So you're not cooking it along with the rest of the system in one channel. So, but yeah, final thoughts. I don't know whether I like doing soft tubing in a case this small. I kind of did run out of room there. I would rather redo this with hard tubing if I was going to run it at all. That way I can get sort of everything exactly where it needs to be without risking a kink in the soft tubing, because there is a slight issue with the kink down the below there. I've got a clip on it at the moment trying to de-kink it and make sure you get plenty of water flow. It's working fine. I can see give it a flick, I can see the water bubbles going whoosh. But yeah, something to keep in mind with that is maybe plan your cable, your tubing a little bit more carefully than I did and have it come out of the top instead of the bottom chamber. I thought the bottom chamber was going to make it look nice and tidy and stuff, but it would have been better up the top, just for shorter, cleaner, less kinky runs. Not that I'm against kinks. We don't kink shame around here. And that's the gag I'm ending on. Kink shaming. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a build in this bad boy.